day, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for being loyal subscribers. So, today in our episode 8 of The Growth Catalyst, we bring to you child sexual abuse. Interestingly, from childhood, we were told to keep away from strangers, hence the notion stranger danger. And to family, it all meant love, relationships, communion, happiness. But sadly, this wasn't the story for Tanya Wayne Meyer, who was sexually abused by her grandfather at the age of 3. She didn't realize it was sexual abuse until the age of 9, when she decided to speak up. But no one ever got the courage to talk her out of it. Today, a lot more than that is happening around the world. And today we are here to understand child sexual abuse. Joined with me is Madame Caro Mukisa, Director, Warm Hearts Foundation.
Yes, please.
So much welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Yes.
Tell us, what is child sexual abuse?
I'm happy to be here. Meanwhile, before I answer that,
Yeah.
I'm happy to be hosted on this show once again. I don't take it for granted because this is the best way we can address these social evils that some people have taken as to whom it may concern. Going directly to the point, child sexual abuse is a form of violence where an adult uses or exploits someone sexually below 18 years. If anyone uses a child below 18 years, because in Uganda under our law, that's called a minor. If someone uses them sexually without their consent, obviously, and a child who is below 18 years cannot have a consent because he's considered as someone minor, so that is sexual abuse. Anything other than that, it's not sexual abuse.
Okay.
Child sexual abuse, yeah.
Okay, well said. Now, we grew up in school by the term defilement.
Yes.
Is defilement the same as child sexual abuse?
Defilement is a form of child sexual violence.
Oh, it's a
Yeah, as well as rape. So it's under sexual assault.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So, kindly, you talked about forms.
Yes.
Would you please take us direct to the forms of child sexual abuse?
Basically, there are so many of them, but I can zero them on 3.
Okay.
There is child sexual assault,
Okay.
where an adult uses a minor for sexual stimulation without their consent. Sexual stimulation, I think everyone can understand that.
No, if you could.
Okay, okay. Where an adult uses a minor to sexually arouse themselves without their consent. It could be through touches. You talked about defilement. Defilement lies under that. We talked about rape. And also we have child sexual exploitation, where a minor is used for graft, for money. Like you've heard about children being used for prostitution.
Yeah, I've had that. It's
Yeah.
happening in Karamoja.
Yes, for pornography. Children are used to do things for money, like someone shoots a video and sells it outside or anywhere. That's child sexual exploitation. And we also have child sexual grooming, where a potential abuser uses information to corrupt the minds of the children. They are not abusing them directly, but they are convincing their minds to get initiated in sexual abuse. For instance, social media, someone can use that as a way of convincing children that it is okay to engage in homosexuality. Yeah. Some people have talked about even these cartoons that children watch.
Yeah.
Maybe Nickelodeon, maybe Jim Jam. So there is a way some information is depicted in a way that it is okay for you to have a flinch with the same sex.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that by the time a child grows, she is convinced that it is okay to do that. So that is sexual grooming. And that is more dangerous because it is soft. It doesn't look so harmful. And people who actually made it or concocted it, they were intended to hit back at us parents who are so busy. We are too busy to look through the content of of the children, like what are they watching? So they're like, their parents are busy, so we can always take advantage and groom their children into this vice. So basically the three: the sexual grooming, the exploitation, and the assault.
And the assault.
Yes.
I watched a very disturbing video
Yeah.
of a grown-up man sexually abusing a young boy.
Yes.
I don't want to say facts. Okay, I don't want to say this, but and I had, those are called pedophiles.
Yes.
Have you had any case in Uganda?
Yeah, we recently had of this German man who died, the one who had settled at Karanga.
Yeah.
This man was known to be a pedophile, though he died when he was in prison. We were still looking for money to bail him out, then he died. So, by the way, so many things are happening in Uganda, but it's because most of them are not brought out in air.
Yeah, true.
They are always swept under the feet, and you know, but so many things are happening. That was one case, but so many and so much is happening. And unfortunately, most attention is being drawn on a girl child, but boys are suffering.
Boys are really suffering.
Terribly.
Yeah. True.
So we need to equally divide the attention to both the girl child and the boy child, because they both matter. Reason is, if a boy child is spoiled, whose hands will your daughter be in future? The boy.
Yeah.
So it all goes back to the same thing of all the children need equal attention when it comes to sexual safety of the children.
True.
Yes.
You talked about the content
Yes.
that our kids watch from childhood, which
Yes.
is very, very important.
Yes.
Yes. And most parents don't want to take the responsibility to watch what their children are following. Now, they don't want to take that the social responsibility. Please make sure you know the application that they are using. There are a lot of applications on the phones that can monitor your child's progress. Yes, you can give your child a present of a phone on her birthday, but make sure you run the installations. Don't let the child dictate what they want to see on the phone. You be the one to dictate. Give them time limits. There are a lot of applications that can do
Yeah.
that. Yes.
Sure.
So we are not saying don't fail to get the good things for your children, but please monitor. Take us through the causes of child sexual abuse.
Well, we could sleep here over that
Yeah.
because there are so many causes, and everyone has participated. By the way, you and me have also participated in pushing this vice higher in a way or the other. I could talk about reluctance, to whom it may concern. Do you know what is happening in the household of your neighbor?
No. And I don't think I want to.
And you know what? It is
Yeah.
that I do not want,
Exactly.
that selfishness. Soft selfishness. It's not intended. You don't intend to be selfish, but you are selfish. We've seen kids who are with strangers in public, but we don't even intend to ask, do you know this person? We've made our children call uncles, you know, to people who are not actually uncles.
Yeah.
And
True.
in your absence, this child is going to run to an uncle,
True.
and an uncle is going to do what is not supposed to be done by an uncle.
True.
So there are so many causes, and one of the main causes is actually poverty. Poverty has pushed so many kids to the street, and it's on the street that these children get abused mostly, because they are literally in the hands of no one, and anything can happen to them. And also, sometimes poverty pushes these children to seek for material gain from other people, from the potential people. You've seen girls on TV crying, girls below 18 years. This person, I thought he was going to give me a job, but he ended up using me. It doesn't only zero to poverty, but somehow, somewhere, poverty also plays a role. You can talk about corruption. So many policemen and women are sitting on the cases of defilement, are sitting on the cases of rape because they have been given handouts. And next time the abuser will be like, well, the other time I went out with it, so
True.
I can do the same.
True. Very true.
So it is so disheartening to find a mother seated on a case of defilement, a mother who was once pregnant for 9 months is seated on a case where someone's child was abused and it just went away just like that.
That's true. I've seen a lot of videos, by the way.
Yes.
You see, you see a person abusing a child, but the best thing you do is to pull out your phone and start recording what is happening.
Yes.
Yes, I've seen. I don't think you've. I'm sure you've seen. Such videos.
Of course,
Yeah.
very many of them. Very many of them. So we are mocking this vice. We are marketing it.
Yeah.
Instead of acting, we are marketing it with our phones. And social media has done the worst, by the way, because we are using it to terrorize these kids more. And the other cause is mental illness. Some mothers give birth to these children when they are already sick in the head. I don't know whoever sleeps on them. If you're out there and you've done it before, shame on you. And you do it to a mother who is psychologically incapable to raise a child. Where do you think that child would end up? In the hands of the abuser. Yeah? And also some parents lack the skill of raising kids properly. You're going to ask, which skill? Do you need to go to school? No. Some parents take it like you must beat a child to discipline them. But some cases do not need the beating. Any mistake, anything, the glass broken, so the kid is already tortured. And what will happen to this child? She's going to run away to the hands of unsafety. Yeah? So, talk about us parents. We are marketing our children for abuses. You find a 5-year-old is dressed and is looking like a 20-year-old.
True.
And apparently, okay, leave alone those days, a Carol at 5 years was looking a kid, like the hair, the shoes. I'm not saying you have to look awkward or even shabby, but I look like a child. But apparently you look at a child of 10 years. She's already in heels, in shorts, in patras, with long hair, with lipstick. A man who is bogus will already somehow, somewhere is attracted, one or the other. I'm not saying they are right to do that because of how the children are dressed, but let's not, the Bible says, let's not attract sin. Let's not lead people into temptation. Let's play our part of raising, yes, exactly. So let's not really call for this sin. If there are kids, let them be kids. At the right time, they can always do those things. So as parents, we are also becoming so impatient. And also talk about the stress and the chase for the money. Sometimes I don't blame parents so much. The responsibilities. Landlord akubanja, then you have a loan you are chasing to pay it or to clear. Then you have so many responsibilities. And the single mothers out there, to balance the roles, it is not very easy. I understand your plight, dear parents, but we can still balance the time. We can still be there for these children. We are becoming so absent too much. We are becoming so selfish. And some of us always think motherhood is about the 9 months.
True.
But by the way, real motherhood starts when the child is born. Because when the child is born, they are in the stomachs and they are safe from the strangers, from the abusers. So unsafety begins the moment you give birth, and that is the same time you need to be more attentive.
True.
You understand? I can give an example. Has anyone looked at a hen? When the hen has the chicks, the little chicken, I should say, the way the hen can be so protective of the little chicks. Talk about the lion. When the lioness has given birth, it can tear you down for its little one.
Sure.
But we human beings, the moment you give birth, imagine those are animals. They are protecting their precious ones. And we human beings, don't meet my concern.
True.
The irony.
Mwana wa gwanga.
Mwana wa gwanga chi. So the animal is being protective of the precious little ones, and we human beings are like, we do not care.
Yeah.
It is so ironic because we should be having more knowledge more than the animal.
True.
But the animal is more intelligent than us. We are changing positions. So we need to go back to the drawing board and act and be more responsible parents.
That's true. Did you know that 93% of molesters rape or sexually abuse children that they know? So that is the percentage. 93% of molesters rape the children that they know. And that percentage is really, really shocking. And the other statistics that I found out is that 84% of prison inmates have been sexually abused when they were young. That is a global statistic.
True.
Yes. So I was deeply concerned about that statistic. 84% of prison inmates have been sexually abused when they were young. It's a global statistic. Now, that takes us to the effects. Take us through the effects of child sexual abuse so we can understand to what extent can it go.
Very bad, very terrible, and very unfortunate. To add on the statistics, 60% of the abusers are actually close acquaintances.
True.
The maids, or the babysitters, the neighbors, the uncles, the caretakers, like the schools and all the places we take our children. And 30% are family members. It's so painful to even talk about it. Family members, Lebson. Family members, family. Anyone would run to a family for safety. If I got a problem and my mother is not around, I would run to an uncle. I would run to my cousin. But you know what? It is no longer the case. That same person is capable of abusing you. It is that bad. Family members. And more shocking, parents. Your own blood, your own child. So it's that bad. And the 10%, surprisingly, is for the strangers. The people you do not know how the 10%.
True.
So what does that say to us? That the only safe place is a home as long as you take precaution. So effects. First is depression. And that is general. There is no one who can be sexually abused and does not go through anxiety. That poor state of mind. You've seen some people oversleeping, like a child oversleeps beyond what really should be happening. And you're wondering, and you're beating that child. Kumbe, the kid has been abused. That is depression. That child cannot even reason well.
True.
It's no wonder some of them are poor performers at school because of the experience, the horrible sins that have been taken through. And the other reason you could give is also physical harm. A young child of 3 years, what do you expect? Their private parts get torn down. There is bleeding. I believe even the inside bit of it gets affected. No wonder some of them maybe in future cannot easily give birth because of the harm. And because of the situation that is surrounding whatever happened, the kid is not going to run to the hospital. So the problem intensifies and results into more serious health problems. And these problems are short-term, some of them, and some are long-term. So we are talking about short-term. But long-term is what you talked about. It is those people that end up in prison because they have seen it all. They have been roughed up. To just chip back on depression, apparently under my organization, we did a roundup in Mukono and talked about, went deep into abuse, sexual abuse. And we interviewed a woman who was sexually abused at 15 years. 15 years, she was raped, she was defiled, she was given all sorts of medicine to stop the pregnancy and all that on her, and finally beaten by the same perpetrator. And that lady, after the interview, I tried to hug her, and the woman was running away. And I'm like, no, it's me, Kara, I'm trying to hug you, just say bye to you. She's like, no, every time hands come close to me, I'm thinking of abuse. It bounces back. Can such a person live a normal life? Do you expect such a woman to achieve her goals like me and you? Do you expect her to even raise kids properly? So it's that bad. These problems haunt us. Even the way we raise our children is affected. And this also goes back to increase in teenage pregnancies. A kid who was abused at 3 years has high chances of getting pregnant earlier because to them, it's not a shock to be for their bodies to get bothered. It's not a shock. Talk about homelessness. So many street children, it's because of sexual abuse.
True.
They have run away from their homes because they cannot take it in. And the parents are not listeners. Most of these kids are abused because we are not listening to them. We are not taking time to sit with them and talk to them. Everyone deserves our time. So basically, it cuts across. This affects the performance of the economy, your personal growth, socially, the way we react. No wonder the community is becoming more wild. Some people are becoming so shameless. It is because of what has been done before. So that is basically it.
I've come to respect the truth about speaking up, or the advantages of speaking up.
Yes.
So now, this time I talked to a person who has been molested or has been sexually abused. There is goodness in speaking up. When you hide the horrible truth, you resort to coping mechanisms, the mechanisms that we're talking about, the drugs, the alcohol.
Absolutely.
Yes, and the after effects of the two,
Yes.
or even
More.
even more. So, but the question is, who is the right person to talk to?
Well, of course, as we already shared,
Yes.
if you are lucky and you still have your parent alive, you are the best person.
Yeah.
Because apparently the society is becoming a mockery ground.
Yeah.
Some relatives are going to go back and laugh at you, but that doesn't mean that there is no relative that is good. Some are good. So the parent is the best person to talk to or to run to, because they have that personal attachment and responsibility on you. And maybe the second group of people you can talk to are actually these people we call strangers, the counselors. That's why in the other show I urged our leaders, or the community leaders, okay, the LC1, the LC5, all the hierarchy. We need counselors on ground. If these people were present on ground, because rarely will a counselor really talk about you, because they have so many cases to deal with. So, and also the security personnel, because this is a crime basically. These people need to be brought to book.
Yeah.
So it is just not about counseling, but these people need to face the law. So security also needs to be talked to. But guess what? Some of them are also intensifying the problem. They are eating the money.
True.
And that is the end of the day. So I could suggest, we have not lost it all, by the way. There is still hope for the abused. There is. You can talk to your parents if they're still there, or the caretakers, or a sibling. Some siblings are willing to help, listen and help.
True.
Yeah. And above all, we need to talk to ourselves. It begins with you. If you do not realize that you're already abused and you convince yourself that I'm abused, I need help, that is the first step of healing. Because if you talk to someone and you do not first talk to your conscience that I need help, then no one will be willing to help you.
That's true.
So you need to first talk to yourself. You're the first doctor to yourself, then the community, then the higher authority.
That's very true. Do not ever let the dark choices of another person define you. Yes, you are your own boss. You can start from right now and make a better ending.
Absolutely.
Yes. Now, police crime report between 2015 and 2016 indicated that only between 2015 to 2016 there was an increment of 34% in just defilement cases.
Yes.
Rising from 13,100 to about 17,500. That's a very big number.
Huge.
You can ably tell that between 2016 up to 2020, the defilement cases have increased. What can be done to close this gap? Yes, for us to discuss the way forward. What can be done? Who can be involved to make sure that at least this gap is closed? Yes.
Well, what has to be done is a lot. And by the way, the cases are worsening.
Yeah.
And are getting worse. Only and only if you do not listen to this and take precaution. We need to teach these kids safety means. And by the earlier the better. There is no child that is too young to understand the safety means. I've already started telling my 4-year-old daughter that, you know what, no one has a right to touch you.
True.
Be it girl or boy, no one has a right to touch you, especially the private parts.
True.
And she already knows the private parts. So let's not feel like, she's still young. The devil knows no age. It's only you that thinks the child is young. But to a sinner or to a perpetrator, the kid is already grown. You're seeing a kid, but the evil in him is already seeing a grown-up woman. So let's teach our kids how to be safe, the safety measures, you know, and limit the content they're watching on TV.
Yeah.
We already talked about that. Let's not even go back to it.
Yeah.
We already know what is safe and what's not safe. And secondly, the government needs to come on board. The government needs to come on board, and if a child has been abused and the perpetrator is known, that same person should receive twice the punishment. If that is done in a community, trust me, others will copy and be like, you know what, it happened the other corner, I shouldn't do that to experience the same. The police, women and men, let's not intensify the statistics. Let's play our part. If someone has come for justice, let's help them find justice.
True.
And also the other bit is, as parents, let's not put our kids as ransom. Obufumbo bwange nja buvaamu, omwana ye kabonaabone, naye nze obufumbo bwange, really, that's your blood. And you're putting them before your marriage. And by the way, with or without that child abuse and anything to do with your child, marriage will still go if it's meant to go.
That's true.
So let's really not measure up our kids and praise them. They are costless. Having a child is costless. And the other bit is these probation officers, the local leaders, they need to be financed.
Yeah.
Some of them do not even have airtime, not even transport means. They cannot follow up any case because their hands are tied. And you know what? Even us, as Home Hearts, we are doing charity. We are doing a lot of work voluntarily. But at one time we are stuck because we have no finances. The finances are needed, you know. And the Ministry of Labour, are they funding these people? We have left the work for the non-state actors, like the NGOs. We have left everything for them, but they cannot do it alone. They need partners. They need support on the ground. If someone approaches you and is in need of information, give it to them, because it will help to track whatever is taking place on the ground. So each one of us has a role to play.
Yeah,
the finances are needed, where the government has tried somehow, somewhere. UNICEF has tried its best. Warm Hearts has tried its best. But then we need more on the ground. We need you and me for us to curb down these cases.
Yeah. Thank you so much. As we wind up, I'll again repeat the statement. Do not let the dark choices of another person define who you really are. Start now and bring light to your purpose. I'll end with the story of Joyce Meyer. You know her.
Yes, I know.
In her statement, she says she was emotionally, spiritually, physically, and mentally abused.
Yes.
Raped 200 times by her own father. But right now, where is Joyce Meyer? She's one of the most successful televangelists in the whole world. So do not ever let the dark choices of another person define who you really are. Say no to bad touches, like we have said, like Carol has shared. If you need to revisit this video over and over again, please do. If you're a parent, make sure your child watches this, and if you're a parent, please put this into consideration. Again, I'm Lefson, your host today, with my guest, Carol Mokisa. Watch out for our next episodes of The Growth Catalyst. Thank you so much. Have a good day.